Have you ever found yourself replaying a moment from days ago, analyzing every word you said, every expression you saw, every possible outcome that could have gone differently? You try to move on, but your mind keeps looping the same thoughts, like a film stuck on repeat. You know it's not helping, but somehow you can't stop. That's the trap of overthinking, the mental maze that feels like reflection, but often ends in exhaustion. People who overthink are not weak. In fact, most are incredibly intelligent, empathetic, and self-aware. Their minds work fast, too fast sometimes, processing layers of meaning in everything they see or feel. They notice subtleties others miss, they imagine possibilities others never think of. But that gift of depth can easily become a burden when it turns inward. What starts as insight can twist into self-doubt, what begins as awareness can spiral into anxiety. Psychologically, overthinking is a defense mechanism. The brain believes that if it analyzes every possible angle, it can prevent pain or failure. It's a form of control, the illusion that if we think enough, we can predict and avoid the unknown. But the truth is, thinking and worrying are not the same thing. Thinking leads to understanding, worrying leads to paralysis. Overthinkers often confuse the two because their minds equate activity with safety. If I'm thinking, I'm preparing, they tell themselves. But in reality, the brain is just spinning in circles, trying to feel safe in an uncertain world. The roots of overthinking often lie in early experiences. Maybe you grew up in an unpredictable environment, where being careful or being perfect was the only way to stay safe or be loved. Maybe you learned that one mistake could lead to criticism, or that love could be withdrawn without warning. So your mind adapted, it started predicting, analyzing, rehearsing, always trying to stay one step ahead of pain. What began as survival turned into habit, and now even when the danger is gone, the brain keeps doing what it knows best, scanning for threats that no longer exist. Neuroscience tells us that overthinking activates the same brain regions responsible for anxiety, particularly the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. The prefrontal cortex overanalyzes every detail, while the amygdala signals emotional alarm. The result? Your brain is stuck in high alert, even in harmless situations. That's why overthinkers often struggle to relax, their minds treat calm moments as suspicious. Silence feels unsafe because it gives space for thoughts to echo louder. Overthinkers also tend to suffer from something psychologists call meta-cognition, thinking about thinking. They don't just worry, they worry about worrying. They replay conversations not just once, but 10 times, each time finding a new angle to critique themselves from. This mental habit can lead to rumination, a deep mental looping that keeps emotions raw and unresolved. It's like trying to heal a wound but reopening it every few minutes to check if it's still bleeding. But here's the irony, overthinking often comes from good intentions. It's the mind's way of caring too much about doing things right, not hurting others, making the best choice. Many overthinkers are highly empathetic individuals who simply want to do the right thing. But the problem is, when you analyze everything, you end up trusting nothing, not even yourself. Every decision feels like a risk, every silence feels like rejection, every uncertainty feels unbearable. In therapy, I often tell my patients, the goal is not to stop thinking, it's to stop believing every thought. The mind produces thousands of thoughts every day, but not all of them are true, and not all of them deserve attention. Overthinkers struggle with this because they equate thoughts with truth. If I thought it, it must mean something. But in reality, thoughts are just mental events, clouds passing through the sky of consciousness. You can observe them without chasing them. Breaking the cycle of overthinking begins with awareness, catching yourself in the act and naming what's happening. I'm spiraling. That simple recognition interrupts the automatic loop. The next step is grounding, bringing yourself back to the present moment. Notice your breathing, feel your body, remind yourself that you're safe. Overthinking lives in the future and the past. Peace lives only in the now. Another key element is learning to tolerate uncertainty. Overthinkers crave control because uncertainty feels like chaos. But life, by nature, is uncertain. The more you fight it, the more you suffer. Instead of asking, what if something goes wrong? Try asking, what if I can handle it when it does? That shift builds resilience. It reminds your mind that you don't need perfect foresight, you need trust in your ability to adapt. Emotionally, overthinking often masks a deeper fear, the fear of feeling. Instead of allowing emotions to pass, the mind analyzes them to death. It's easier to think about pain than to feel it. But healing begins when you stop dissecting your emotions and start experiencing them. You don't have to understand every feeling to move through it, you just have to allow it to exist without judgment. People who overthink often struggle in relationships too. They read between the lines, overanalyze text messages, interpret silence as rejection, and spend hours crafting the perfect response. This mental exhaustion makes genuine connection harder because they're always inside their own heads instead of being present with the other person. Love, like peace, can't survive constant analysis. It requires surrender, the courage to be seen without needing every outcome guaranteed. If you recognize yourself in this, remember, overthinking is not a flaw, it's a sign of a sensitive, intelligent mind that learned to survive through caution. But now, survival has to give way to living. You deserve to experience moments without dissecting them. You deserve peace that doesn't require proof. You deserve rest that doesn't feel like laziness. The first step toward quieting the mind is self-compassion. Don't fight your thoughts, soften toward them. Say, I see you, but I'm choosing calm. Practice letting small things go, unanswered messages, awkward moments, uncertain outcomes. The brain learns through repetition, so each time you release a thought instead of wrestling it, you're teaching your mind that peace is possible. Some days, you'll still spiral. That's okay. Overthinking doesn't vanish overnight. But each time you choose to breathe instead of analyze, you're breaking an old pattern. Over time, those moments of peace stretch longer, until they start to feel natural again. You begin to realize that life doesn't need to be understood to be lived, it just needs to be experienced. If you take only one thing from this video, let it be this: your mind is not your enemy. It's just overprotective. It learned to keep you safe by predicting every danger. Now it's your turn to teach it safety through stillness, through self-trust, through gentleness. You don't have to outthink your way into peace. You can simply breathe your way there. I'm Lune, a psychologist whose mission is to help you understand your own mind a little better. In each video, I try to uncover the patterns behind our emotions, habits, and hidden thoughts so you can see if you're experiencing something similar in your own life. If my work helps you, you can subscribe and support me on Patreon. It means a lot, and it helps me keep creating these deep, meaningful explorations of the human mind.